The sun is going down, but we're still ready for some fast and intense racing here with the NASCAR Wendy's Cup Series at Seattle Superspeedway. It's the Nationwide 400. With the cars pulling off pit road, let's show you our starting lineup. In the front row, we have James McDaniel in the number 88 Nationwide Chevrolet, and on the outside pole, we have Stephen Willey in the number 62 Shore Lodge Chevrolet. In the second row, we have Matt Johnson and Andrew Golden. In the third row, John Green and Conrad Cooper. The fourth row has Tyler Markell and William Brock. In the fifth row, we have Harry Sora and Andrew Rich. In the sixth row, we have Rampage and Gabriel Wanderley. In the seventh row, Carson Scott and Josh Harris. The eighth row has Alexander Miller and NASCAR Fan 19. In the ninth row, we have Dan Bandon and Eric Van Arsdale. And in the 10th row, we have Paul Brenner and Grayson Acevedo. Here comes the rest of the order on your screen, flashing on the bottom. Plenty of cars getting ready for some more high-speed action. Plenty of large, fast tracks leading this schedule. We're definitely going to see some more short track and moderate-sized tracks coming soon. But this front end of the schedule is loaded with very long tracks. Here's a quick look at who tops the standings at the moment. These are the cars that have to have some good performances today if they want to extend their chances for the chase for the Wendy's Cup. Coming down the front stretch, very unusual aspect of this track, the start-finish line nearly at the turn number 1, and as they head that way, the green flag is out and the race has begun. They're soaring through the turn, nearly about to hit 200 miles an hour. That's going to be the consistent speed as they head around the track. You lose barely anything, if any, speed in this corners. Already heading 3 wide. In fact, we got cars starting to scrape the wall. It's a very narrow track. Combine that with some high speeds, you're going to have some troubles getting around here very quickly. Oh, we got trouble in the back. A few cars going around. 5 cars scattered across the raceway. Dexter Black, Emmett Juckham, Gabriel Wanderley. See Maury Johnson in the back. Might have been Harrison Butt. Another crash consumes the track on lap number 1. And as they head that way, they quickly take the caution flag. Which means we might be seeing some pit stops right here. Matt Johnson leads the first lap. As they come off turn number 4, it looks like nearly everybody, could possibly be everybody, that is heading down pit road, starting that pit strategy early, trying to get that tank filled up. Cars soaring around the side. Had to do some catch up. That crash definitely scattered the pack a little bit. Here comes Matt Johnson, the leader, to his pit. And here comes James McDaniel and Stephen Willey. So you have your top 3 guys right there. They all started in the top 3 spots, and Matt Johnson's going to be the first one to pull out. And here comes Rampage. Oh my goodness, it was a pretty close race up there at the pit exit. But I believe Matt Johnson did, in fact, gain the spot. Let's take another look at what just occurred coming down the front stretch. I see Marty Johnson got a little sideways. Someone else cuts up the track, scatters a couple of cars around. Taking another look at that from KDude124. Might have been Harrison Butt, might have actually gotten into Marty Johnson. And that collects a few cars. KDude124 Gets some minor damage on the front end, but it looks like he will be okay for now, though it might affect his speed, especially on these high-speed tracks. And here's your race off pit road. As you can see, Matt Johnson definitely beats Rampage out, even though Rampage is basically going double the speed of him at that moment. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back after this.
Dale, you help me get down to Danbury?
Oh, yeah. Hold on a second here.
It's pretty easy. You get out on the main road here. You go straight about half a mile, maybe a little less, and take a left. Follow that, straight another half a mile, and then you take a hard left, right? And then you go straight a half a mile, take another left. Yeah, that's right, man. You just keep on that.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it.
All right, man, no problem. Anytime. Oh, John, the directions.
Well, welcome back here at Seattle Superspeedway. Now, on pit road, during that caution, you can see Bandon gets a little squeezed in there. Now, Wanderley's coming to his pit. He had damage already, and he just slams into Bandon as he's trying to get in there, and Bandon almost overturns, basically. Now he's got some damage on his right side. So, pretty hectic pit stop. Cars are coming down. They're going to take the green flag. Matt Johnson still holding the lead. Rampage now in second. The cars all out in single file. It's going to take a little bit more to get them all compacted back together as they've been throughout the first lap. Though it doesn't seem to be taking very long. Rampage going underneath Matt Johnson, but Carson Scott goes even further down between them. And he might be the one that takes the lead as Johnson drops back to about 6th place. These high-speed tracks will notoriously take away your positions real quick. You can lose them like that in just a turn, just as Matt Johnson has done. He might lose even more going around this corner. He actually is hitting the wall, scraping the wall a little bit as Stephen Willie makes his move down to the inside. Oh, and we have trouble in the back. Noah Cars is spinning around, and John Arndt has smacked the wall. Lego Bush is now spinning around, and they're in the middle of the pack. Oh, and John Arndt takes a major hit and might be heavily damaged. Total mayhem here in turn number 3. From something that started in the middle of the backstretch, Carson Scott leads the pack to the yellow flag. Let's take a look at what just happened. So I'm seeing Van Arsdale might have been the one that got into Cars. Cars just barely taps Arndt, which sends him careening toward the outside wall. T-Love 48 Man and Lego Bush become victims of that incident, and then from there, Cars in the back of the pack are just total victims of this. From another angle, just a little bit further down the track, some cars are going in there just a little bit too hot, while various others are very lucky to be out of there. K-Dude 124 took some minor damage. We're on board Matt Johnson, and as you can see, he was the one that was actually scraping the wall, and that might have been the one that Van Arsdale got into. The 67 car got away unscathed from that incident. Meanwhile, Johnson, it's like looking down the barrel of a gun, but man, he does a whale of a job to get around that accident. So the cars are coming back around for more pit stops. Just a few laps after the first one. You can see a couple of cars we're highlighting. Obviously our leader Carson Scott propelling himself into the lead. Started 13th. He's been able to make his way up there. Started to see some tire changes on these Cruz Grayson Acevedo. also opting for some as well. Carson Scott chooses 2 tires on this stop. Acevedo looks like he takes a similar approach. Carson Scott easily wins the race off of pit road. Number 88 also taking right side tires. So after that round of pit stops, Carson Scott's going to be leading the pack back to the green flag, followed by Acevedo, Rampage, and Markel. We'll be right back.
UPS delivers earlier to more countries in Asia. That means navigating the tight streets in this. Do you have what it takes, David?
Come on, let's go three-wheeling.
Excellent time.
May I restrictor plate? Gun quiet.
Your Chinese is very good.
Welcome back to Seattle Superspeedway. We're getting ready to go back to the green flag. Carson Scott is going to be leading this pack. Cars filed in single file behind them, but that's quickly going to fan out, as we saw in the last restart. They definitely don't waste any time getting back to a condensed form. Green flag is out. There goes Scott and Acevedo leading the charge. Already 3 wide, involving Markel, Campbell, and Rampage. Just as expected, they're all fanned out as they head into turn number 3, going super fast. Speeds topping up to 200 miles an hour. Markel and Rampage both scraping the wall at the moment. It's one of these tricky factors at this racetrack. These cars will just be too condensed and too tight, trying to go 3 wide into these corners. There's just not enough room, and these cars are going to start scraping. As you can see, there goes Acevedo. Now he is scraping the wall. The less time it takes for these cars to fan out and get in the single file or whatnot, that will be the way that they can stay off the wall. They will be they'll have their choice of lane. The middle of the groove seems to be the best spot. You can definitely get some spots taken on the inside lane. Colin Lindsay currently leading the pack, heading to lap number 14. Campbell now making a move. Taking a look at Goldberg. Running just a few spots behind the pack. Just barely creeping into the top 10. He was last week's winner. He has a guaranteed spot in the chase for the Wendy's Cup, so long as he can keep it in the top 35, which, if he keeps up this consistency, looks like that's a good possibility. We're also on board Stephen Willey, who finished first in our first race of the season at Bump Draftin'. He's running a little bit further back in the pack. He dropped to about 7th place during the last race. Did not have a great finish, wrecked out. So he's trying to make himself get a little bit higher into the points. But at the moment, he's kind of just having an average run. 3 wide coming off turn number 4. We got Campbell, Lindsay, and Carson Scott all trying to fight for some bonus points. Campbell's going to lead that lap. Carson Scott looking for the lead on that inside line, showing why it's the hot spot on this track. Currently running 39th in the point standings right now, finishing 37th and 29th in respective races. So if he does, in fact, go on to win this thing, he's going to have to pick it up. Zach Campbell, on the other hand, currently scraping the wall. He had a 2nd place finish at Bump Draftin', but an early exit at Lowell, finishing 35th. He is currently tied for 12th place in the point standings with Rampage. And you could see from that scrape, he was running about the third position at going into turn number 3, and he just lost about 10 spots. Definitely cannot be scraping the wall around here. Going to slow you down tremendously. Nick Smith. He's been involved in a couple accidents as well these past couple of weeks. But now he's trying to make a run to the front. Andrew Golden has been up near the front for most of the race, but he has dropped back tremendously. Coming up on lap number 19, Nick Smith takes the lead from Carson Scott. Grabs another bonus point for himself. But Gardner has made a charge to the inside. Onboard Nick Smith going around the track. Coming up on a lapped car, as you can see a little bit further up the screen. That is Reese Butcher. They're catching up too. Gardner trying to take the outside. Nick Smith tries to cut inside, and there's trouble. Oh man, there is trouble with the leaders. Johnny Gardner and Nick Smith, both among them. Nick Smith takes hard contact as Noah Cars plows into him. Incredible scene right here as the leaders of the race get taken out. Carson Scott among them. They were coming into turn number 1, that awkward spot where the finish line was. Reese Butcher staying in the middle of the track. People were trying to pick lanes and they were getting squeezed in there. Caution flag is out, obviously. Let's take another look at what just happened. You can see Gardner trying to go to the outside of Butcher. Smith's starting to make a run down to the bottom end. Makes contact with Scott. Cooper gets through, but Scott, Gardner, and Smith all running near the front of the pack, all involved. And then Smith comes down the track and Cars is right there. Dejan Weeks also involved. And we've got a very selective group of people choosing to pit. I'm going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back. So we had an interesting scenario heading into that last break. You saw several cars stay out on the track. Well, here's why. There was apparently a lot of cars that decided to take the last lap of the caution flag to make their pit stops. So you can see right here, this is our distribution. We watched the cars that came in and out of the pits on certain laps. Several cars came out on the first lap. Only Reese Butcher came on the second lap. Several other cars came on the third lap. Now, Barry Goldberg is the only one that did not pit during that cycle. But it looks like he's actually making his pit stop now. It's a very odd choice by Goldberg's team. Not sure if it's going to be a pit strategy or not. But it doesn't seem like an effective one. The field is coming to the green flag as Goldberg remains on pit road to get some gas. Cooper is going to lead them to the line instead. Meanwhile, the Flash is in second place. He's been having the kind of season you don't want to have. Finishing 40th and 37th in consecutive races, both crashing out. He is dead last in the standings at the moment. We're looking at Dejan Weeks dropping back. He was in the inside lane. He was a lap down. He's going very, very slow as the entire field just goes to the inside of him. Definitely not one of the faster cars on the track at the moment. Scraping the wall. Take a look back at the last X and you'll understand why. You can see he was running up near the high line and he became a victim of the 3 cars crashing Not necessarily spinning around, but making contact with some of these guys as they come around. This one will be the big hit right there. At the top of the screen, you saw Smith kind of spin around and smack into Weeks. And he's basically lost the pack already. It's another example of speed being affected by damage, but this is a very extreme case. Coming around to turn number 3, NASCAR fan 1418 now taking the lead. Conrad Cooper behind him. Cooper currently in a 4-way tie for 26th place with Tyler Markell, Marty Johnson, and T. Love 48 man. The win would definitely be a welcome sight for that team. Trying to get out of that little pit. You can get away from 35th place and manage to win a race. You'll be golden for the rest of the season. You can see Goldberg has returned to the track. Meanwhile, the cars are starting to pick up on him. So he's definitely not damaged. He might, if he does in fact drop back to the pack, he'll be able to draft with them at just a fine pace, but he is going to be a lap down at the moment. Moving alongside our helicopter cam, looking down on Stephen Willie. Willie's now into 7th place, coming in lap 29. On board William Brock. Brock with a respectable 13th place finish last week, but a 41st place finish in the first race of the season has put him in a tie for 34th place in the standings. As a reminder for those of you trying to remember who is in the top 5 of the standings right now, Barry Goldberg has the lead after his win last week. Dexter Black follows him. John Arndt, Alexander Miller, and Johnny Gardner are the next 3 in line. Here on lap 30, we're going to take one more commercial break here for RVN before we head into the conclusion of this Wendy's Cup race at Seattle. We'll be right back.
It's now the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
Welcome back to Seattle Superspeedway. Cars starting to make their way toward pit road. You can see, looks like Zach Campbell is going to be the first one onto the pits. Here it comes now. He's been running near the top, especially during this late part of the race. He's going to take left side tires, go ahead and fill up the tank, and that should be able to get him to the end. And if he can get to the end, anybody still having to make their pit stops definitely can as well. Pat Hayes also taking a left side tire change. You're going to have to try to race off. This is definitely going to scatter up the pack. Looks like the leader, NASCAR fan 1418, has joined them and heading toward the pits, and it looks like a big chunk of the cars still left on the track are doing so as well. Andrew Golden and Stephen Willie, they pull off simultaneously. Golden getting a little bit faster speed out of the lane. Here comes NASCAR fan 1418. He comes around. Teal 48 man pulls off. It's a couple tire changes for him. Full tank of gasoline. And they'll be off. Taking a look at some of the other drivers that are down here right now. You can see we've got Cooper, Sora, Harris, Bandon, NASCAR main number 1. They are all on the pit lane at the moment. And here comes the next set. At the moment, we're looking at Paul Brenner and Tyrone Kingston, along with the nearly lapped car, Barry Goldberg. They are all staying out at the moment. Colin Lindsay comes in, takes the left side tires. He's going to be taking a full tank of gas. He'll be on his way. Andrew Rich, he's been running in the top 10 consistently during the back half of this. Rampage pulling off simultaneously. He's been running along the top 20. He's been in and out of the race all day. Paul Brenner and Tyrone Kingston are both in now. Taking a look at Brenner, he has been also going up and down. You can see him in the leaderboard at some points. Some points you cannot. He's taking left side tires as well. It's going to be a big left side tire change for everybody here on the pit lane today. And he is off very quickly. Just fills in the amount of gas he needs to. Now we're taking a look at who's coming up behind him. So the pack is definitely scattered, but no one has passed him for the lead yet. So he comes around. I believe it might be Colin Lindsay. It's the next car in line. Yep, you can see him behind Brenner. Just a couple seconds back. He's the next car in line to pass up Brenner. And he's making a pretty good charge, going by NASCAR Fan 19, who's slow on the outside, going by the Flash. The Flash was having a good day, and I'm not sure what happened to him. He is now looking to be a lap down. But Lindsay is making a big charge up to the front of the pack. He is looking to take the lead from Brenner. They're going to be going too wide down the backstretch. The cars scattered across the track now as they have fanned out after that round of pit stops, which is going to be all they need to get to the finish line at this point. Lindsay looking at Brenner from the roof cam. He's just trying to squeeze by. If he can get even more laps led, that'd be great for bonus points. Brenner's going to go ahead and retain the lead. He's definitely got the faster car at the moment. Coming down into turn number 3. Brenner and Lindsay continuing to lap some slower cars. We're on board Markel right now. He'll go a lap down. NASCAR Fan 1418 leading the pack of cars that trail these two who have pulled away from that at the moment. But running up front in the clean air is going to keep your car a little bit slower. Being in the draft is a good place to be right now because that's going to give these cars back here all the momentum they need. So even though we've got 4 laps left to go in this race, there is still plenty of opportunity. Johnny Gardner slow up near the top of the field. Up near the wall. She's going to go lap down. Four laps to go in the race. You can see NASCAR Fan 140 has caught up. He's behind Markel, but definitely looking to make a move. We'll still have time to get around. Markel is not going terribly slower than these other cars. Probably just a matter of being in a draft that he needed. Lindsay once again looking to the inside of Brenner. NASCAR Fan 140 has gotten around Markel, and he's trying to pick up the next 2. He's making a move to the inside. Brenner continues to lead as they hit 3 to go. Coming down the back stretch, Lindsay has, in fact, taken the lead from Brenner. NASCAR Fan 1418 still trying to make a move. This might be his opportunity. He looks inside Brenner. Cars shifting around. William Brock, Pat Hayes. We haven't talked about Pat Hayes much this race, but he is in 5th place at the moment and looking to continue to pick up more spots. He's up to 4th now. Lindsay has the outright lead. NASCAR Fan 1418 cuts into 2nd place. Brenner shortly trailing behind. Brenner got a really fast run off that high groove, and he is cutting to the inside of Lindsay. They're coming down the front stretch, and this is going to be a white flag lap. One more to go. Lindsay still holding the lead, but Brenner is catching up. Brenner to the inside, and he's got the lead. NASCAR Fan 1418 stealing a spot from them. Reese Butcher, who was involved in that latest accident, slow in front of this pack. Let's see if they catch him or not. Because we know it could be a disastrous play out to this ending. Brenner holding the lead. Lindsay, NASCAR Fan 1418 are both side by side and they're catching up the Butcher. Coming down the front stretch. Checkered flag at the end of the stretch. And Brenner holds the lead and takes the win. Paul Brenner, your latest winner in the NASCAR Wendy's Cup Series, is going to be an automatic qualifier to the chase for the Wendy's Cup. Well, with Paul Brenner's victory, let's take a look at the finishing order from today's race. With Brenner's win, NASCAR Fan 1418 comes in 2nd, Colin Lindsay in 3rd, William Brock in 4th, and Andrew Rich in 5th. Guys like Rich and Pat Hayes, haven't seen much of them throughout the race, but they come up there and grab solid top 10 finishes. There's the rest of the finishing order. Goldberg still ends up a lap down. Few DNFs from those crashes, and here's a look at our standings from today. Paul Brenner, Stephen Willey, and Barry Goldberg are your winners from the 3 races this season, and they all possess the top 3 spots in the standings. Remember, with 16 races in the pre-chase format, there could be a winner for each race, and those are the people that go into the chase. But if there is not, you're going to need those point standings to get you up front. So that's going to do it for us here at Seattle. I'm Colin Denton from RVN. Hope you enjoyed the race, and we hope to see you next time.